Oh, okay. I love it, Anissa. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and dig in. And I really want to get into some insight for you today around what's really happening in your brain, and why you aren't earning enough. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the symptoms. We're going to talk about what's really happening in your brain, and then we're going to talk about the cure. Sound good? And I want you to be as interactive as possible in this chat box. Feel free to write any questions that you have into the chat box as I'm going through this, because this is for you. This is for you to learn. This is for you to evolve and grow and break the cycle that you're stuck in of not earning enough money. And to do that, that really means that we need to create a circle of trust here. Okay, so we're all here. The best way that I know to really transform and evolve, it starts from a place of vulnerability. It starts from a place of trust. And we're going to talk a lot about trust today. And so my invitation to you is to open your heart while you're opening your mind, and allow yourself to just sink into a space of trust with yourself and trust with everyone here. And so with all of those that are here, let's just make a pact with each other right now. Okay, and the pact is that what comes up here, what bubbles up here, is going to stay right here. Can we agree to do that? If we can agree to do that, I'm going to invite you to just put your paws up. Great. All right. Paws and pinkies. Love it. That was cute. All right. So, I love it, Janet. So, what I see so often is that, you're hustling your little hiney off, right? And you watch money come in the door, and then you celebrate it, and it's like really super exciting. And then what happens is that celebration gets cut short because it's a brief celebration, because the money's going right back out the door, paying the bills, paying something, back, whatever it is, right? Paying a team, paying for marketing, paying for whatever it is in your business, the money just slips right back out the door. Can anyone relate to this? Put your paws up. It's like, wait a minute, there was money for a moment, but then WTF? Why am I now looking at a bank account that's, again, on zero? We're running on fumes, right? And then that leaves you super duper stressed. Maybe you are losing sleep. I can remember back in the early days of Nidmore, I have a chocolate company called Nidmore, and I'll get into who I am in just a minute, and tell you more detail around that. But you'll know I have a chocolate company called Nidmore that I took from like the ground up, literally, in about 5 years, turn it into an international wholesale chocolate company. Awesome. But I'm not void. No one is void of all these things that we're going to look at and talk about today, including myself. Okay. So I remember back in those days losing some sleep over trying to make cash as we were really growing pretty fast, actually, and trying to buy inventory So if you can relate to that, it's normal. And losing sleep or feeling stressed because you're working hard and you just can't seem to get out in front of it, that's normal too. All right, so your brain might have also, if you're anything like me, decided that making money is hard. If you can relate to that, and that's a story you've got going for yourself, put your paws up. Does money seem like it's hard to make? Yeah. We got a solid yes here. Okay, my old money story was money is hard. I have to sacrifice myself. I have to slave away in order to make money, in order to make an impact. And that left me working, or not sleeping, I should say, 2 nights a week and drinking 2 pots of coffee a day back in my 20s when I was running one of my other companies. Okay, that's not acceptable. That's not a way to survive. That's not even a way. Does that sound joyful at all? It was horrible. All right, that's not a way to grow a company sustainably. And so I found another way. All right, and there is another way. And our brains get caught in this trap of under-earning. Our brains get caught in all kinds of traps, and we're going to look at that, right? I actually call it a virus, okay? I call it the entrepreneurial poverty virus, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So that's what I really am all about here. Really all about eradicating this entrepreneurial poverty virus, because it takes over, it like spreads in our life, in our business, in like every kind of part of us. And there's so many different strains. We're going to focus on 4 different strains today of this entrepreneurial poverty virus. And I want to focus today on helping you to eradicate that for yourself. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. Before we do, let's get into who I am just a little bit more. So I'm Jennifer Love, and I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for joining me. I'm a money psychologist. So back in the old days, I was training to actually become a strategist for the FBI. And I got 7 years of behavioral psychology training. And instead of going down that route, I really found my calling in business and finance and supporting women. And so for the last many, many years, I've been studying women's relationship with money. And that includes my own. All right. So again, I'm sharing all this information. Really, this is more of a share and learnings that I've experienced for myself and learnings that I've seen through other women that I've supported over the years. All right. So I'm a trained money psychologist. I'm also a CEO. I've started companies 5 times over now from the ground up. Built many multi-million-dollar companies and helped a lot of other people do the same. So now I'm training CEOs to what I call CEO it. And I've helped raise a lot of money, over $100 million between my companies and others. So, I've been around the block, ladies, is what I'm saying here, right? I helped take a company through the Shark Tank process and land a deal with sharks. And it went down as one of the most historic deals because they got a better valuation, more money than they went in asking for, which like never happens. And there was a whole reason why, because we got them out of this entrepreneurial poverty virus thinking. Okay, we helped eliminate that for them. It was a lot of training, but it's possible. It's possible for you. It's possible for them. These were 2 20-something-year-olds, all right, who had no business experience at all and were able to do it. And that means that you can do it too. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to bring, my experience as an entrepreneur, as an advisor, as a psychologist to the table today. And at the very end, I want to invite you to stay all the way through this, because at the very end, I'm going to do 2 things. 1, I'm going to give you a gift. You have to wait till the end to get it. And 2, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. Okay, so you can put any questions you have in the chat box in the meantime. But wait until the end, and I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Sound good? All right, so that's a little bit about just kind of high level of who I am. I'm the gal who by the age of 30 was running a mortgage bank in New York with 100 employees. Crazy, no. And has had this like really cool journey. But I've had to overcome a lot, ladies, in that journey. And so I can really speak from that experience. And that's why this really matters to me. Okay, because I've been on the ground and I know what this is like. This is not someone that you're looking at right now who's just teaching you with no real experience. Ladies, I have been in the dirt, in the ground, in the trenches, in the grind, day in and day out. I know what it's like. I know how hard it is. I know how emotional it can be, how psychologically taxing it can be. And I also know it's possible. And I also know it doesn't have to be hard. And I also know that you can have fun. And I also know that it doesn't have to be hard to scale and grow your business. And I also know that if you can get through and get rid of this virus, that you can actually start earning the money that you desire. I know it's possible because I'm doing it. So I started, let me just go back here. I started a company called One More Woman a couple of years ago. And that's what you're here with me now, One More Woman. And I'm on a mission with One More Woman to help 10 million women, entrepreneurs, who care a lot about the right things, and I know that you do because that's why you're here. I'm here to help you cross the $1 million mark. Now, why? Why do I care about that? Well, ladies, did you know that less than 2% of all women entrepreneurs ever cross the $1 million mark? It's a true story. Are you okay with that? Less than 2% of all women entrepreneurs ever hit $1 million. I'm not okay with that. So I want to help you cross the $1 million mark. I'm going to help you get to the next financial level on your journey in the meantime. Okay, I've done it. I'm amongst the 3% of women entrepreneurs who've made 1 million and well beyond that, upwards, over 10. All right, so it's possible, but there are some things that we need to do first. We need to eradicate that brain, get in and dig in, and understand what's happening. And so I know that the best way that I can really begin to help you is by helping you understand what's actually happening for you. And to do that, I first want to know a little bit more about who you are. So go ahead and write into the chat box, what's your business? How long have you been in business? What's your business? This is an opportunity to, kind of spread the word a little bit, right? You can put your website if you'd like. But more importantly right now, what I want to know is how long have you been in business and what's the industry that you're in? So go ahead and type that in the chat box here. And I'm just going to take a look at your beautiful faces while you're doing that. Oh, I got some great, awesome women here. Cool. Give you a second to go ahead. Okay, bless. 10 years, health and wellness. Awesome. Congrats on 10 years. That's a big deal. That's a big mile marker in entrepreneur land. I'm going to wait for a few more to answer here. Alex, I see a couple of familiar faces. Got Brittany here, welcome. Alex, a dual business owner, cool. Ayurvedic guide and practitioner. I love Ayurvedic stuff. I've just been getting into that more and more recently. Tongue scraping and some of the food, and it's really cool. You have a storefront, cool, providing coaching and body and therapy. Fantastic, congratulations, 8 months in. Janet, credit repair guru, cool. You decide to create a DIY credit repair ebook. Been in business for 5 years. That's also another big mile marker. Congratulations. Carol, magazine, 1 year in. Nice. Gretchen, newly in business as a surfing your edge coach for women over 40. Cool. You help them expand their comfort zones. Nice. Bless, and digestive health and boundaries coach. I like it. Yeah, good stuff, ladies. All right, so welcome. And I know there's many more that are coming in here. RJ, selling your body oils and lotions. Fantastic, ladies. Okay, so you're up to some really cool stuff. And some of you have been around for a little while. And so this is not new. And this might be, and again, this is where I want to invite you to be really vulnerable and really open. And also, can we just agree here in this group that regardless of what has been in the past, that we're not going to judge it? Because I also know that the fast track to transformation and growth is compassion. Okay, when we just say, you know what, that's cool, I just didn't have the right tools, I didn't have the right information, I didn't know, or I had some things that were really blocking me, I had this virus going on in my head, I do some work about this, all right? So we're just gonna invite self-compassion in, whatever is, and it's cool because we can move forward from here, all right? How many of you want to make more money? Would you pause that? And I can't see all of you, but that's all right. I'm going to assume that your paws are all up. And I want to break this down for you with some simple math because I want to know a couple things. So I'm going to bring up here, and this is where I'm going to
J-Love, are you still there? I think we lost you. Uh-oh. She'll come back. Hey, Jennifer. Right in the middle of the good stuff, too. Oh, there you are. Hey, Jennifer.
Yes.
You cut out. We can't hear you.
Oh, Sugar Bomb. Where did I leave off?
Back a slide.
Back a slide. Yep. Here? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I was asking how many of you would like to make more money? I saw a bunch of yeses, which is great. And then I brought up the next slide here. Can you see this slide? It says, let's break down the math. Okay, great. So I want you to do some basic simple math with a piece of paper and a pen. I want you to write down how much do you want to make each month by the end of the year. Okay. My slideshow is going crazy here. Slideshow gone wild. All right. And then you're going to do the simple math on this. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a minute to do the math for yourself. Okay, so what I want you to do is to drop into the chat box what your delta is. Okay, so you can see here in this example, $15,000 that you want to make by the end of the year each month versus, you know, these are pretend numbers, right? Arbitrary numbers versus how much you're actually making right now. Well, let's just assume it's 5,000. You might be making less, you might be making more, it doesn't matter. We just want to kind of know what it is, okay? And then what's the delta? What's that delta? So in this example, the delta is 10,000. What's your delta? So I'm going to invite you to write the delta, your delta, into the chat box. Good, so 9,000, 5,000 delta. I want to see some more. Go ahead and put it in, ladies. This is like where you're getting vulnerable, getting real with yourself. This is important work. Delta 10,000. $6,000 not enough. Anissa, I love it. Carol, 6,000. RJ, 4,500. You know, one of the things that I see as one of the biggest things getting in the way of women entrepreneurs is that they're just not reaching enough. They're not believing in themselves enough, which requires them to really step forward. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I wanted you to first get in touch with what is your delta right now. Now, I want you to write into the chat box, why do you think this is important? Why do you think I'm asking you to do this? Why am I asking you to write your delta? Psychological reasons for sure. If you don't know what your goal is, it's hard to reach it. That's totally true. You hit targets when you don't know what the targets are. You want us to feel how it feels about that number. That's right. That's exactly right. How did it feel to write down the number? And so here's where I want you to dig in for just a moment. Did you feel any sense of nervousness, any anxiety when you wrote down what it is that you want to make by the end of the year each month? If you did, go ahead and write in the chat box, yes. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses here. Yeah. Okay, so Alex, you said no. Interesting. That's exactly right. That is an indicator. That is an indicator that you probably haven't put your goal high enough. Because here's what I know about our brain and the way that our brain works. Our brain is a hunting kind of a brain. We feed off of getting the hunt. And that desire actually creates a physiological response that releases dopamine and serotonin in our brain. Now, there's some downsides to that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we need that in order to help motivate us. Isn't that interesting? We actually need to have that little bit of a chemical hit to help motivate us towards our goal. So Anissa said, I took the hard number, not the easy one. Yes, a little anxious, as it means I need a better system. I already have. So here's what's interesting about this, Anissa. You're already noticing that when you, and this is the important part, you got to notice, right? And as entrepreneurs, we can tend to get so caught up in the doing that we actually aren't even being. We aren't noticing. We aren't reflecting, right? But when we do that, we give ourselves the spaciousness to really pay attention to what's true. And what's true when we listen to our emotional and chemical responses is we receive information. And that information is like, oh, there's a little bit of anxiety. Okay, what is that telling me? Oh, well, I'm nervous, but I'm also excited. Why am I nervous? Why am I nervous? See, that's an important question. That chemical release is telling you something important. It's loaded with all kinds of information. You know why? Because your brain knows what to do before you do. True story. There's been some research studies that actually show that when you play a game, like a betting game, that our brain knows, and we know this because we've tested through like the sweatiness on a palm. When you get nervous, like your palms get sweaty. The palms will get sweaty when someone's picking up a card from the red deck being the not good choice, not making a good choice deck. Okay? But we keep doing it until 40 cards later. Why? Because our brain knew before we did, because we didn't slow down to ask it what it wanted to tell us. Ooh, powerful, 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 ladies. What is that telling us? That we need to slow down enough to ask the important questions so that we can speed up. How about that? So we got to start paying attention to, well, this delta, this how much I want to make by the end of the year, and the delta that I need to make, well, it's making me nervous. Why is it making me nervous? Well, because I don't have some systems in place. What is that telling you? That's actually really good information. Well, gosh, I need to do something to put those systems in place, right? See, the thing is, you have infinite intelligence within you. You have a lot of knowingness within you, but there's a whole lot of stuff that's getting in your way. So let's look at what that is. Let's look at these viruses that are getting in your way. Okay, there are 4 common strains of viruses that I'm seeing. So let's talk about them. 1, the negative cash flow virus. Anyone experience negative cash flow? You're like, you get to the end of the month and you're like, yeah, how am I going to pay my bills this month? I see some yeses coming in. If you or anyone that you know have ever experienced this, this is what I call the negative cash virus. Someone's saying less and less. Good. That's great. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story about one of our members here in our, advanced program. When she started with us, okay, she expected that, and this was last year, this 2018. She thought that she was going to end $600,000 or $700,000. Okay, when she came in and started working with her, she was barely making payroll. She had a team of about 15 employees. She's a virtual remote company. And her managers were, like, the communication between her and her managers were not good. Her employees were pretty dissatisfied. Her cash flow was struggling. She owed $250,000 in debt. That's a lot of money to owe, right? And we're talking about the loan shark kind of choking debt. And her confidence was dwindling down the drain like water. Now, we did some key things. We'll talk about some of those things later. But she did some things to turn it around. to eliminate this negative cash virus. And you know what happened? I'm super proud of her. She was able to end the year at $1.4 million, ladies. She was able to turn communication around with her team. She ended up going from 15 to a team of, I think it was over 21 or 23 employees. 2 of them which said on an employee survey at the end of the year that this was the best place they had ever worked. And she had paid off 1/3 of her debt in that time. Okay, that was in about 5 months. She was able to do that. She was able to literally begin to eliminate the negative cash virus that was going on for her. So I want to just take a moment. Yeah, Janet, I know, wow, right? It's impressive. I just want to take a moment and see for yourself, like, are you experiencing the negative cash virus? Do you see it? And if you do, how are you seeing it show up in your business or in your life? Where is it showing up for you? Okay, this is when you're like, this is the feast and famine train, right? This is where you're like bringing in the money, but then it slips right back out. You're bringing in the money, slips right back out. Go ahead and write into the chat box here. What are you seeing? How is this showing up for you? Let someone start my mastermind group without paying and was okay with that is the important part of that statement. Yeah. Now there's another person saying, I also build businesses, credit for businesses, and I find myself in the consults giving away too much information, thus not landing the client. Yeah. That's another great way that it shows up. Mindset, feeling the lack of confidence in my skilled set. Yeah, this is so common, Alex. Super common, by the way. You're not alone in that. I'm gonna give you some hacks here today to help with all of this. Definitely give away too much information without securing business or referrals. Lack of clients. Look at all these ways that the negative cash virus is taking over you, ladies. Okay, this is just one strain of the entrepreneurial virus. Okay, the negative cash virus is one strain of that entrepreneurial virus. Christine Singh, spend too much time on non-money attracting pieces of my business. Ooh, that's powerful too. Yeah, see, now look at this. You ladies know. You already know. So what's happening, right? We're going to dig into that a little bit more. We're going to dig into what's happening. But before we do, let's look at some of the other viruses. Okay, the other virus strains. Okay, here's the next one. The resentment virus. Ooh. I walked one of our members through a rewrite, what I call a rewrite your money story process, not too long ago. And I've been doing this for a long time. And she was sharing with me how she was really feeling resentful towards her clients. Does anyone here ever feel resentful towards your clients? Have you ever had that experience? That's part of the entrepreneurial poverty virus strain, right? So for her, how this was showing up was she felt like she was giving too much and not receiving enough. She was just giving and giving and giving. And then she ended up actually feeling like a slave to her clients. In fact, what she said was, to use her words, she said that she felt like she was beholden to them, like they owned her. Whoa. Like her clients owned her. And we started talking about ownership versus responsibility, right? Or guardianship. And so I talked to her, I was like, well, what do you think is happening for you? She's like, well, I'm not charging enough and I'm really resentful about it. And I said, okay. So why aren't you charging enough? Well, I'm not sure that they're going to pay me, what I think I deserve. Well, why not? I asked her. Well, I don't think they understand my value. Oh, interesting. So this is how this resentment virus strain really shows up, right? We get stuck in knowing our own value. And then I asked her a really important question, and I'm going to ask you this question too. Are you good at what you do? Ladies, are you good at what you do? Go ahead and write in the chat box. Are you good at what you do? This is a really important question. Okay, I got a fuck yes. Awesome. No, I'm not pardoning that language. Bring it on. Yes, but I forgot that. Okay, that's powerful. So then I asked this member, I said, okay, and she said, yeah, I'm like really good at what I do. I said, how do you know? Prove it to me. How do you know? Prove it to me. So she started telling me all these results that she had been getting her clients, and they were impressive results. And I said, cool. Are you communicating that when you're talking to someone new? And she said, well, no, not really. And I said, well, why not? Her answer was so much because this resentment virus strain was in her way, ladies. It had shown up and blocked her. She was having a hard time literally communicating her value and the results that she was getting for her clients. I had another member not too long ago, this was a couple weeks ago. I was on a call with her. Similar situation. She had just closed a deal for $10,000 for 1 month, but that was half of what her rate needed to be. And she was so resentful. I mean, she was actually angry on the phone when I was talking to her. I could hear the anger and the frustration in her. I said, well, why did you do that? Well, there was the promise of more work in the future. It's like, but you didn't land that deal. You didn't think there was no container for here's what I'm going to do, and in return, here's what you're going to do. She said no. So we talked through it. We talked through the resentment she was experiencing and how that was affecting her. It was showing up in her relationship with her husband. It was showing up in how she was actually performing on the project. She wasn't performing as well as she knew she wanted to. And do you think that that client is going to want to come back and hire her again if she's not really giving it her all? No, is the answer. Do you think that's going to interrupt her ability to get future work? Yes, is the answer. So that resentment virus was literally getting in her way. Why? Because she didn't own it. She didn't just say, no, I got to stand in owning my value here. Because if I don't, then this virus is going to take over and it's going to literally take money out of my pocket. Not only this month, but in the future. So I'm going to just pause here for a moment and see, for you ladies, how is this resentment virus showing up for you? Do you see this in your life, in your business? Are you asking for what you know you deserve to have, the value that you're giving? Are you communicating that value to your customers? Are you standing firm in your pricing? My sense is for so many of you that you're not. You're not saying no. No, that's not going to work. No, here's why. Because here's the results I'm going to get for you. In order to get these results, here's what it's going to take. Right? You're allowing that resentment virus to literally get in your way. Let's look at the next strain. There's so many ways that these things, I could be here all day with you. We could be here for a week talking about this stuff, okay? I'm getting into all of this. Another strain of the entrepreneurial poverty virus is the growth ceiling virus strain. Oh, buddy. The growth ceiling comes up in so many different ways. This is really why new entrepreneurs had limited growth in the first few years. This is why even companies that have been in business for 10 years feel like they're stalled and just like really aren't growing. And why do you think that is, ladies? Why do you think that's happening? How is it showing up for you, the growth ceiling virus? Go ahead and type in the chat box. Why do you think you're having limited growth? We've got RG saying, I've only had one person who didn't want to pay my asking price, and that left me doubting myself. Do you mean that you only had one person who was willing to pay your asking price? My girlfriend helped me snap back out of that quick. So one way for sure, Danny, not allowing yourself to have bigger goals. You're not actually asking and standing true in your pricing. You know, another way that this is showing up, oh, we've got a couple more here. I'm not putting myself out there in a big enough way, bold enough way. It's like I'm still asking for permission to do this work. That's right. I have a growth in membership, but not in sales. I need to make this fly, build the mailing list. Yeah. This is showing up, ladies, because of many reasons. There's so many reasons this is showing up. Okay, but here's just a few. Because you put a cap on your capacity. Because you're not standing and charging what your value is actually worth. So you can't grow. You're not building your business in a way that's actually scalable. And how about this one? This is one I see the most often. You've literally created a job for yourself, but not a business. The way that your pricing is set up, your gross margins are like literally almost putting you out of business. You're barely making enough money based on the time or what it costs you in materials to even sell your product or service. See, the growth ceiling comes in so many different ways. And again, we could be here all day and I could do a whole training just on this one alone, but we're going to keep going. But, you know, why most women are struggling to find their ideal client is because of their mindset. And so the gal that I was telling you about a little bit earlier who was working on their Rewrite the Money Story process, I literally asked her a really important question. I said, are you marketing to screen people out? Or are you just trying to take anyone in that will come and buy your service or product? She's like, well, yeah, I'm guilty. And I was like, okay. So then I asked her an important question. These are questions I want you to write down right now for yourself. Who energizes you and who drains you? You know, when you think about, you know, you're often here, create your customer avatar. So you're thinking, okay, cool. I'm going to, you know, focus on women in their 30s and 40s, and you know, they've got a college education, and they're, you know, a single mother living in, you know, California or New York, right? Like that's how we typically will think of a customer avatar when we're asked that question. But ladies, there's a really another important side to that. And that is that question: who energizes you and who drains you? Because talk about a growth ceiling and that virus spreading. Do you think that if you're working with people who are draining you, that you're growing or that you're shrinking? So get really clear with yourself about who energizes you and who drains you. Here's the next question. Who immediately understands your value? Who immediately understands your value? Who really gets what you're doing? Because when you think about who your customer is, and you talk, I mean, like, you really want to get into understanding their lizard brain, okay? That's a huge strategy. That could be a whole nother training on its own as well. But that is really what you want to hone in on. Who energizes you, who drains you, who immediately understands you. And it's your job to communicate your value. Don't let the resentment virus strain get in your way. Understand your value, own it, and communicate it. So here's a strategy alert. Okay, this is a little ninja tip for you. Through your screening process of your clients, once you've answered those two questions and you've gotten more clear on who your customer is, there's two important things that you need to do. Okay, number one is through your language and your price point, screen them out. So if we're talking about screening people out, you need to use languaging in your marketing materials, whether that's on Facebook ads or on your website or in written materials. Everywhere, use language that screens out everyone else and speaks directly to that person that you want. And set the price point appropriately to the person who understands your value, to the value that you actually give to people. And then focus only on getting them. That's it. That's the only person you're going after, is that person. No more energy spent anywhere else. Spending energy somewhere else is creating a growth ceiling. Okay, that's a virus strain that is getting in your way. Don't do it. Stop it. I'm going to spank your little booty. Stop doing it. Okay, so the next thing here is that I want you to create an automatic, clear screening process. Okay, so that by the time that you're actually on the phone with this potential customer, that you've identified that this is exactly the person you want to be talking to. You can do that through, using all kinds of forms. There's jot form, there's type form, right? You can set this up so that it automatically happens. You can very easily systematize this. It doesn't really take much money and very little time to automate this process so that you're clear about who you're talking with. And the only person that you're getting on the phone with, ladies, is your exact ideal client. That's it. Everyone else, you send them a little gift, you say, thank you so much. I know this isn't quite right for us, but here's a little gift, here's a little something for you. And for those of you who have a product company, there's ways to do this as well. Okay, you can automate all of this as well for yourself. So I just talked about two things. We're screening out people, for marketing. We're marketing to screen people out. You're asking two important questions to understand who your customer is. Who energizes you and who drains you? Who understands your immediate value? In the strategy ninja tip, two processes here for the screening process. One, through the language that you use and the price point that you have, speak to the person that immediately understands your value. Number two, create an automatic screening process through jot form or type form or some other kind of automatic form that before you ever get on a phone call with anyone, that you know that you're speaking to the right person. Everyone else, you're giving them a gift or you're sending them somewhere else. Again, this is about eliminating a growth ceiling on your ability to scale your business. Okay. One more bit here on the growth ceiling. And this is something I see so often, ladies. You're not focusing on the right thing. Now, someone earlier mentioned this. Someone earlier said, well, I'm not really focusing on the right thing. It's like, perfect. Yeah. So you're doing all this other activity, except for actually focusing on bringing sales in. You're doing all this busy work, right? Doing busy work is not your job. Your job as an entrepreneur, as an owner, as a CEO, is to bring the money in. Bring in the money, honey. Your job is to spend 80+% of your time focused on growing your business. You're the queen bee. You can do a little exercise and sit down and say, what are the most important things that I need to be doing to the success and survival of my business? And if your time is not spent, more than 80% of your time is not spent doing that, you need to rethink how you're spending your time and focusing your energy. And then you wake up every single day and you do the first thing that's most important that day. You do it until it's done. You do nothing else. That's it. I know that was a lot of information. How are you ladies doing? All right, so let's look at another virus here. The avoider virus. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to pause and I want to hear from you in the chat box. How are you avoiding money? How is this virus strain showing up for you? How are you avoiding money? And by the way, my studies and research show that more than 50% of all women entrepreneurs are avoiders. That means there's more than a 50% chance that you're avoiding in some way. We just had, actually yesterday on Facebook, one of our members posted, it was really awesome. She posted about how she loves sitting down and looking at her numbers and looking at how much she's made, her expenses, how she can reduce her expenses. And I've been working with this member. She's been a part of our membership for 3 years now. And it was like a struggle. It was like pulling my nails out to get her to do this and to feel good about it. She literally wrote on Facebook yesterday how it has completely shifted. She's eliminated this avoider virus strain for herself. She's doing it on a weekly basis. She loves it. It feels good. She feels empowered. She's got visibility. And I was like, that's impressive. This is the same woman, okay, who was able, as a result of this, and this is part of her process, in less than 9 months, she was able to, I still just like am so blown away by this. See, part of the process, ladies, in understanding why you're avoiding, because you may not even know why you're avoiding. You may not even know what you're avoiding. It may be a blind spot. But I'm asking you to write this in the chat box, because all of us are avoiding in some way, shape, or form. That's the truth. More than 50% of women entrepreneurs are self-identified as being avoiders. But the truth is that everyone's avoiding in some way, especially with their relationship with money. And this particular entrepreneur, she's been in business for over 10 years. She's done pretty well, pretty decent, except that she was really stalled in her growth. And so when I dug in, what we found and unearthed was she had a childhood memory and a block from a childhood memory that she used to turn her Barbie doll houses into banks and like literally make her own money. She had blocked this memory. Why? Well, because of issues with her mom and what that meant, and I won't get into all of that. There was some trauma there for her. When she unlocked that for herself, she realized, oh my gosh, I used to like, not only was the monopoly money not enough, but I used to cut out and make more money and put it in my cash registers, put it in my bank. And I asked her, I said, well, what does this mean for you? And she said, well, I can create whatever I want. 9 months after that, ladies, she went from a team of 2 to a team of 9. In 9 months, she was able to generate more revenue in her business than all 10 years of her business combined. No joke. Okay, this is the power of eliminating this avoider virus. This is the power of unlocking what's going on and true. This is the power of eliminating the trauma, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So I see you're avoiding some narrowing down of my ideal clients to be an effective marketer, avoiding asking for a sale. Yeah. But also avoid giving the same time and attention to my business as I do to helping others, including my adult kids. Yeah, you're making yourself less important. This is all really powerful, ladies. This is how this is showing up for you. What are some of the symptoms of under-earning? Some of the symptoms of under-earning include a lack of self-confidence, I should say a lack of confidence, a lack of growth, consistent growth in your business, a lack of leads in your business, the feast and famine train, I call it, right? Negative cash flow in your business, a feeling of anxiety and stress where your business just feels like it's hard. Symptoms of under-earning are also literally where you've created a job for yourself, right? It's not scalable, rather than actually building a business, right? These are just a couple of the symptoms of under-earning. So let's talk about for a minute what's actually happening in your brain. Here's the cool thing. There's about 100 billion neurons in the human brain. That's about roughly 40,000 synapses that are interconnecting with those neurons at every moment. So in total, there's like sextillion connections that are happening in your brain. That's more connections and interconnections between all the neurons than there are stars in the entire universe. Can you fathom that for a moment? Isn't that cool? So every moment of your life, your brain is managing and revising all the connections that are helping you just get through your life and manage it. And each neuron is firing off about 200 signals every second. And since all of those neurons don't fire in lockstep, right? They're not all happening at the same time in lockstep with each other, but rather in response to external stimuli, things that are happening outside of ourselves. This means that every moment of your consciousness and your unconscious existence, that means that there's a never-ending lightning storm that's rolling up through the cosmos that's encapsulated by your brain. The school of your brain, that's you. That's what's making up you. And so your memories and reflexes and knowledge and consciousness is a miracle of nature. But how do you actually upgrade this, what I call incredible software, to upgrade you, to become a better version, to become a healthier version, so that these viruses that have impeded onto your computer of your brain are we're eliminating it, just like we would off of a computer, right? We got to get rid of the viruses. Well, there's a couple things I just want to look at here with you. Permission is one thing. Okay, so the hippocampus, which is a region of your brain that involves memory, it's larger, typically, it's larger in women. While the amygdala, that's involved with emotion, is typically larger in men. So this is the opposite of what you'd actually expect, like the myth that male brains are biologically better suited for math and science and female brains are biologically, better for empathy. Right? It's just not true. And here's a research study that I'm going to share with you. The evidence from this research suggested that I'm just going to back up here for a second. This study was done from the University of Waterloo in Ontario, so Canada, the Canadians in the house, you'll appreciate this. So there were 2 different groups that were studied in this research project. So the first group, men and women, were asked to do a math test. And they were told that this math test was really hard. Okay. Then there was another group Same exact math test, men and women both taking it. They were told that the math test was really easy. Here's what the results showed. That the women taking the test had significant difference. The ones that were told that it was really hard did significantly worse than the men, actually. And from also the women who were told that it was really easy. Isn't that interesting? What this is telling us is it's an indicator of the power of permission, the power of suggestion. When we have permission, when we give it to ourselves or we give it to each other, we actually engage and receive through our hippocampus the ability to increase our confidence and to powerfully step into a belief that we can. So it's more important for women to have permission. So that means, and this is something to write down, how can you get more permission in your life, whether it's through yourself, your team, your partners, your loved ones, or whoever it is that you need, advisors? How can you get more permission? Because through permission, ladies, you perform a heck of a lot better. You want to earn more money? Seek to get permission to do so. The next one, positive reinforcement, which isn't so different than this. So what's interesting is we're looking at some studies on serotonin and dopamine in the brain. Okay, so you raise serotonin levels from your external environment. Okay, serotonin means you're raising it, you're increasing it.
Serotonin means.
My phone is trying to give me the answer here. Serotonin levels is coming from your external environment. Okay, when your loved ones, your team, your customers are giving you positive reinforcement, that increases serotonin in your brain, which increases levels of dopamine. Okay, so dopamine is that feel-good state of, also is involved in like feeling confident. Okay, so your left brain, dopamine, do it yourself, like you're giving yourself the reinforcement, versus the right brain, serotonin, where you need it more from the external environment. Okay, so right and left. The biggest difference between the left and the right side of the brain in terms of gender is that men have 2 times as much serotonin receptors, so that their ability to receive serotonin in their brain is 2 times greater than women. That means that women have half as much serotonin. That means that we need 2 times as much positive reinforcement from our environment to drive up the same amount. That's about receiving a confidence boost. We want to know why men seem so much more confident than women? Why there's a confidence epidemic happening amongst women? Ladies, it's because our brains are literally like getting in our way. So we need more external positive reinforcement. So your job is to literally seek out ways in which you can find positive reinforcement in your life from the external environment. People who are telling you that you're doing a good job, people who are going to encourage you, people who are going to give you permission. Your body chemistry mix also makes a difference. See, we all have dopamine, serotonin, testosterone, estrogen. We all have them. It's about a certain mix. And with each mix comes different things. And all of us have a different mix. We need to understand that. We need to understand what our mix is. How do you do that? Well, you can do that through blood tests. We can also do that by paying attention. Paying attention. So if you want and you're interested in doing blood tests, ask your doctor to do a test on your serotonin, dopamine, testosterone, and estrogen levels, and understand which one are you. Dopamine, higher levels of dopamine, you're going to tend to be more creative, more spontaneous, more energetic, more mentally flexible. Higher levels of serotonin, you're going to be more sociable, more eager to belong. Testosterone, you're going to be more tough-minded, more direct, more decisive, more assertive, really good at math. Estrogen, you're going to be more intuitive, imaginative, and trusting, empathetic. So you really want to understand what your body chemistry mix is, and then understand how to hack it from there. I'm going to talk about some hacks in just a moment. There's so much I could keep talking about in all of this, but I'm going to keep us moving forward here. Let's talk about trust for a moment. Return on trust. Isn't that interesting? Trust. How important do you think trust is in your life? It's fucking important, ladies. Self-trust. Trust in others. Here's what we're actually finding about trust. That people who have more trust have 74% less stress. How do you create more trust? We're going to talk about that in a moment. Okay, so people who have increased levels of trust have 74% less stress. They have 106% more energy. They are 50% more productive. They have 13% less fewer sick days and 40% less burnout. You want to talk about the return on trust? Trust is important. So important. There's two main key things here. Yeah, I'll send you the stats on trust. There's two main key things here about really building trust. Number one, recognizing excellence within yourself or within others. Number two, sharing information. I'm sharing information with you right now. I'm actively building my trust in myself by sharing information with you. I'm actively building trust with you by sharing this information with you. I'm building trust in myself and I'm building trust with you by sharing my own story, sharing this information, sharing what's been happening with members. I'm building trust with you. Building trust is incredibly important. Why? Because it reduces stress, increases energy, improves productivity, reduces sickness, and creates less burnout. Well, heck, let's figure out how to return to trust, ladies. Big freaking deal there. Also, decision making. I know we're kind of running a little bit low on time, so I'm going to kind of skip over this one and keep going because I really want to get into some of these hacks for you. So let's look at the hacks. The hacks for under-earning. Under-earning hacks. There's 3 different columns here. You're going to want to take some notes. This is really important stuff here, ladies. And before I dig into this, I want to let you know that I really appreciate you being here for yourself and listening to this information, because you being here, you're helping me fulfill my mission to help you cross the $1 million mark and make an impact on the world. So thank you for being here. I want to help you through these hacks. Hack yourself so that you can overcome the viruses, or even the strains of viruses that are getting in your way of under-earning in your business. There's 3 main things here. Heal your nervous system, get cognitively fit, and build trust. So the first thing here, rewrite your money story. Part of healing your nervous system is understanding what is running you. You've got to do a complete, total mental operating system upgrade. And the way that you can start doing that is by rewriting your money story and understanding what is controlling you. Blind spots, the things that are getting in your way. And we have a process here at One More Woman to do that. So if you're interested, reach out. You can reach out to Danny in a private message here on the system, and I'll also give you a free session here. So you'll see that in a moment. Okay, so rewriting your money story is so important. Here, let me tell you about the power of doing that. I'm going to give you 2 examples. I did this process with a young woman a couple of years ago. She's actually in Toronto. When I met with her, she was struggling financially. She had put all of her savings into her company. She was running it with her brother. She was just like surviving, and she was just in it. And she was just struggling. Like everything was just a struggle. Financial struggle, everything was a struggle. I walked through this process of rewriting her money story with her, ladies. I saw her in Toronto this last summer. She walked up to me after an event that I had spoken at. She grabbed my hands and started crying. She said, "Jennifer, I just want to thank you so much for the work that we did together. I am now running a $1 billion company." And I looked at her and I said, "Huh, what? Did you just say billion?" And she said, "Yes." And I was like, wow. So in 2.5 years, you went from financial struggle to a $1 billion company. And she attributes that to the work that I did with her in the Rewrite Her Money story. Now, that's not typical results, but that's what's possible. Another member at One More Woman. I went through the process with her when she first joined us. 5 months later, she 3x'd her return, like her revenue, within 5 months, and that was in the off season of her business. True story, she actually did a video testimonial for us around this. And she attributes that largely to the Rewriting the Money Story process. Heal your nervous system. Trauma is stuck in your brain and stuck in your body. In order to move beyond it, ladies, you have to heal it. You have to do the release of the trauma work. Another little hack for you here, something you can do nutritionally to help support your body, is pick up a mushroom blend called Lion's Mane. There's a company called Four Sigmatic that makes it. I love it. I drink it every morning. It's like giving your brain a hug. Add in MCT oil along with that mushroom blend, and it will help. It will help to focus you. It will help to release trauma that's not serving you. It's an immune booster. I just can't speak enough about what this stuff does for your brain. These 2 things together, Lion's Mane and MCT oil, are powerful. Healing your nervous system is the first thing that you can do. The second, cognitive fitness. Meditate. Meditate every single day. Even if you just can meditate for 5 minutes. The delta waves that happen in the brain are like a restful state. That restful state moves trauma out of your body and puts you into a place of calm and peace. When we're moved into a place of calm and peace, we're supporting our ability to move out of addictive cycles that we're stuck in our relationship with money. And if you don't think you're stuck in addictive cycles, I'm here to tell you that you are. And it shows up in so many different ways, like not asking for the business, not charging enough. We could go on and on and on about the addictive cycles that you're stuck in. Meditation will help to eliminate that, get cognitively fit by putting your brain into a peaceful state to help eliminate the stress from your body. Number 2, work hard at playing. We're showing all kinds of research on what playing does for our brain. It creates more creativity, more innovation. It increases confidence. It does all kinds of things for you. Start getting good at playing. That means you need to set time aside to play. Have fun. How about that? That's actually part of your job as an entrepreneur, is to have fun. Wow. Play brain games. One of my favorite brain games is an app called Luminosity. It takes about 10 minutes a day. I play gin rummy online, I play chess online through my phone, and I play Luminosity. It strengthens and creates fitness in your brain by stretching it, by creating neural pathways, connections that are stronger through the myelin that builds up. So you get really good at failing and then succeeding and being okay with it. And as entrepreneurs, we're having to do that on a regular basis. I know all about it, right? Failure isn't failure if it's learning. Okay? Powerful habits, creating power habits, right? Like drinking your lion's mane and MCT oil, and then meditating, and then saying an affirmation or writing down a gratitude, exercising, right? All these power habits are so important for cognitive fitness. We talked a little bit earlier about understanding your customer's lizard brain. You need to get so clear cognitively about who your customer is, what's going on for her, the pain points that she's struggling with, she or he. I'm speaking she because I'm constantly dealing with amazing women like you. So understand your customer's lizard brain, so much so that it's in you, it lives in your brain. Okay, the third hack here is about building trust. We talked a little bit about that already. First thing, ladies, is you got to choose you. You got to decide, yes, the universe has my back. I'm choosing me. I know that I'm supported and cared for. Cool. I'm saying yes to doing the things that I need to do to eliminate these entrepreneurial viruses from my body, from my brain, so that I can start earning the money that I want, so that I can make the impact that I desire. Next, create a learning circle. Learning is so important. You know, one of the things that are most common amongst the top entrepreneurs, CEOs across the globe, leaders, is that they're constantly learning, they're constantly reading. Leaders read, leaders learn. You want to build trust? Learn. We talked a little bit about sacred language. I didn't use that word sacred, but language is important. Sacred language is important, right? Eliminating I can't, don't, try. These are words to eliminate from your vocabulary. Listen to what it is that you're saying, because if you say you can't, guess what? You can't. If you say you can, guess what? You can. It's not a matter of if, ladies, it's a matter of how. If you tell your brain that you can't do something, you won't. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. This is super short. Many years ago, I started writing down as part of my powerful habits in the morning after meditation. Actually, it's before my meditation now, but back then it was after. I was writing down Jennifer, and I used my name to create the cognitive dissonance and eliminate some of the stress. I won't get into that science right now, but using your name is really important when you're doing an affirmation. So my affirmation every morning was, Jennifer, I am the person I admire the most. Now, did I believe that at the time? No. But guess what happened, ladies? Over time, anytime that I would do something that wasn't in alignment with the person that I admired the most, I became emotionally uncomfortable. It was putting me into check. So I was like, oh, I need to tweak this thing. I need to do this thing so that I will actually be the person I admire the most. And every day I would wake up and I would say it again, Jennifer, I am the person I admire the most. And I've, over the years, shifted to being a person I really admire. I really like me. Isn't that cool? It takes some time, but sacred language is so important, ladies. Our brain believes what we tell it. I had this whole thing about training a puppy. I won't get into that right now, but it's like our brains are like training puppies. We can train them to do what we want. We just got to know what we want them to do. We want to know what we want them to believe. Power of preparation. You want to build trust? You want to eliminate this under-earning virus? Prepare. Preparation is so important. You need to make sure that you are prepared. I call it a 2-to-1 ratio. It's 2 times the planning to 1 times the execution. It's like cutting down a tree with an axe. If you go in to cut down a tree with a really dull axe, man, you're slaving away at that. But if you take time to really sharpen that axe, well, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more joyful. It comes down a lot faster. Preparation is key, 2-to-1 ratio. Understand what your values and your strengths are. What do you deeply value? What do you care about? Align your actions in your business to that. Focus in on your strengths using something like StrengthsFinders 2.0. Dig into what your strengths are telling you. Focus on those things. Do just that and do nothing else. Don't worry about what you're not good on. Fill in the blanks with everyone else around you. I have a team of 10. Our strengths are very different. I don't want people who have my strengths. I want people who have different strengths than me. Have a feedback loop. Get feedback about what you're great at, what you're not so great at, what's going well, what's not going well with your customers, with your team, with everyone, right? Have a feedback loop and have trusted advisors. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I continue to, on advisors, on personal development, on spiritual development, so that I grow as a human being. The people in my life know this to be true. They see it in front of them. I'm like constantly evolving, because it's so important to have people, advisors in your life that help support you, who've gone before you. So these are some confidence boosters to help really step powerfully into earning what it is that you want and eliminate the entrepreneurial poverty viruses. Here's one of my favorite quotes. It's not what we don't know that prevents us from succeeding. It's what we know that just ain't so. That's our greatest obstacles. I'm going to say it one more time. It's not what we don't know that prevents us from succeeding. It's what we know that just ain't so. And that's our greatest obstacles. Ah! Right? Isn't that great? When I first read that, I was like, damn, that's good. Yeah, that's yummy. I just let that sink in. I know, love heart too. So good. Ladies, what we're afraid of are the most, we hear Marianne Williamson talk about this, right? In her famous quote. What we're most afraid of is ourselves, our own greatness. We're afraid of change. Not really the new, not really the unknown. We can't really be afraid of something we don't know. What we're really afraid of, ladies, is shifting into out of what feels, even if it's uncomfortable, it feels like somewhat comfortable because at least we know it. Well, I know how to just survive. Well, is really just surviving what you want? Or do you want to move into thriving? Do you want to move from surviving to thriving? Well, then you gotta start taking a look at this stuff. So here's part of the cure that I'm gonna offer up to you, ladies. I shared with you a bunch of hacks. The under-earning hacks. And here's part of the cure that we're offering up here too. I'm offering up for you ladies to join us for a free session where we'll dig in and understand what's going on for you. What are the specific things that are coming up for you? And what is it that you need? What's the custom plan for you so that you can hack your under-earning viruses that are playing out in your brain and what to do about it? So you can click on this. We'll drop this into the system. You can, actually, Danny, if you can type that into the chat box there. And grab yourself a slot, right? This is free to you. Why would you not do this? Come meet with either myself or one of our team members, and let's explore. What is the cure for you? What's the cure of the virus that's running and plaguing you right now? So you're going to go to onemorewoman.com/millionaire strategy session. Again, onemorewoman.com/millionaire strategy session. All right, so let's move over into Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Figure out how to do this. There we go. Stop sharing my screen and just see, does anyone have any questions in the last couple of minutes here? Start my video back on. Any questions? I know I shared a lot with you today. It's a lot of information, right? Each one of these things could have been a whole nother training today. But I wanted to give you an overview of some of the things that are happening in your brain that you can do something about today. Monica's asking, how soon is it possible to resolve these problems and reprogram? Really quickly, actually. It doesn't have to take long. I shared with you one of our members who was able to triple her revenue in 5 months. Another member who in 9 months was able to make more money in 9 months than she did in the last 10 years of her business. Another member who in about 6 months, instead of she doubled the amount of money that she thought she was going to do, and she ended up going well beyond the $1 million mark. She went from, it was about 500,000 to 1.4 million in 6 months. So these things don't have to take a long time, but you know what they do take? Effort, commitment, willingness. So my question to you is, are you ready? Are you willing? Who here is ready? Say yes into the chat box. Get a yes and a yes. Working on it. Cool. Great, Janet, thanks for joining us. So, Anissa, I would say that's a yes for you. Let's just see, this is part of sacred language. When I ask you, are you ready? You say, what? Are you committed? You say what? Tanya says, hell yes. What we tell our brain, it believes. Yeah. So who's here ready to have a call with myself or someone on our team to see what the next step is for you? Yeah, you're ready. I'm just going to drop this into the chat box again for easy reference for you to come have a session. Let's dig in together. I promise you, you'll leave that call knowing what the next step is for you. You're ready for the call. Awesome. Awesome. Filling out the form right now. Good. Love it. Well, ladies, this has been an honor. This has been fun. You ladies are rad. Hanging out with you for the last hour plus. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. I'd love to hear before you head out, what was the big aha for you in this session? What was the big aha for you? What did you learn today? You're like, oh my gosh, that totally makes sense. I got it. Put it, yeah, you can talk. Sure, go ahead, Tanya.
I just feel like in my business, I've been in the media business for 10 years and there's so many changes going on. It's been a huge period of growth and change for my business. So I feel like this call has really unhinged the door that was closed to me in certain areas where I was limiting my beliefs. And I just feel that certain things became clearer in terms of focusing on the self-care first, as opposed to worrying about the business and having more faith. That's really become clear to me that, and I distinctly focused on my ideal customer this week. I just made one phone call. I've never spoken to them before, and I immediately have a meeting with them next week. And that's what I decided to do because things weren't working well in my business. And so I'm on the right track. And I just feel like, you know, you've done so much for so many people and what you've said is so important. And you lose track of that when you're stuck in just, you know, trying to figure out where the next clients are coming from. And, you know, there's phases in business where things have been very fruitful, and other times where I've had to constrict. And I'm not used to that period where you're constricted, which plays on your consciousness. It plays on your vulnerability, your confidence levels. And you have to be ready to weather those storms. And hormonally, I never heard this ratio that you talked about in terms of how much positive reinforcement we need. And as an entrepreneur that works alone, and I'm usually at the head of the train, you know, making sure the engine's running and telling everybody it's all going to go, well, there's really not a lot of reinforcement that comes back when you're at the top, because a lot of people don't know how to give you that reinforcement. So that's where this kind of environment is so important.
Yeah, you know, Tanya, you've hit on some key reasons why having an advisor is so important.
Yeah.
You know, people who can give you some of that positive reinforcement, the feedback loop that I talked about earlier, and just overall like helping you see some of these things. Thanks for sharing. I see a few more really great things: how to screen people out, that I'm holding myself back, relieve cognitive stress, heal the nervous system. Yes, Anissa, that's right. You're welcome, Christine. I loved hearing about the differences between men and women, especially around permission and also the serotonin levels. Showed me I can say yes to so many of the points: self-care, filtering clients, building systems, that things are going well and could really speed up with direct support. That's right. Great job, ladies. Oh, RJ said, I learned about good hacks and habits. Some I already am doing. New ones to implement. Also great tips on screening people. Awesome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining. I can't wait to have a session with you, or someone on the team can't wait to have a session with you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Mwah! Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for sharing all your expertise.
Mwah.